Hello, Earth Angels, and welcome back to another episode of Alignment Academy. I'm super excited today. I have another guest with me, and this guest is super special because she was an online, connection that turned into real life friend, and it was just another really kismet moment. This is the friend I was talking about in a few other episodes who I met in London, and we have just like a super beautiful story. So we're going to get into that today. But if you're new here, I'm Kristen. I'm a mindset coach, angelic channel, business mentor, and I love helping people step into their purpose so they can live a life of fulfillment and stop caring what other people think of their life so much because so many people are held back by what other people think and what other people are worried about for them. And it's just kind of a waste of time. So that's a little bit about me. We talk about all things mindset, spirituality, intuition, business on this podcast. So I'm super happy you're here and you're in for a treat. So, my friend Rebecca is here and she is such a magical human. I'm going to let her introduce herself. So, hi, Rebecca. How are you?
Hello, thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. So excited. I'm good. And I'll just get into the introduction.
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay. All right. So I live in the UK. I live in a place called Essex, close to London. I am an Akashic Records reader and teacher, and I love helping people step into, I don't know, like their most authentic selves, I guess I would say, like with the Akashic Records, helping people figure out what's their like higher, who is their higher self, what's their highest potential, and
Mhm.
then understanding how to get there, sort of like practical steps on how to get there. We can do like future progression, looking into the future, also looking into the past, which is really fun. So like time traveling, no big deal.
Mhm. Yeah.
No biggie. Yeah, a lot of people who come to me have been through like a similar journey to me, probably low in self-confidence and lack direction. So I kind of just like whip a load of energy into shape and like give it to them to help them figure out what to do.
I love
Yeah.
this. Yes. So I have so many questions already. But for
hmm
anyone who is new to the Akashic Records, I have talked about it in a couple of my other episodes. So if you've listened, then you probably know. But for the newbie, what are the Akashic Records?
Yes. Okay. So the Akashic Records are, I like to describe them as an energy field, the field of potential. I know that I've been told that the yogis would connect to the Akasha, which is the field of potential. So
Mhm.
you can think of them like a library, an energetic library, the book of God, the internet of God. I have all these fun like ways that people have explained them to me when I was first learning, and someone else told me like Google is based off of the Akashic Records because it's like a search engine. Except then my thing is like, yeah, but when you search on Google, you can get a load of like fake shit. Right.
That's true. That's
Whereas with the
true.
Akashic Records, you're asking for love and truth. So it's like this super high vibrational. Imagine like you're really into personal development and you're like, okay, I want to live my best life. I understand that like throughout my childhood and my upbringing, I've picked up from my caregivers, my parents, my schooling, my friends. I've created my subconscious, unconscious, like the 95% of my reality is projected from that place.
Mhm.
And by going into the Akashic Records, you can extract information from that place, like you can do when you go into like hypnosis and meditation and doing different things. So the Akashic Records are like the internet, a library, the book of God, your soul's record. So like I like to think of it as well as like there's a record of like evolution, like how the planet and like not just the planet though, because it's not all about planet Earth, but it's like time, our soul's journey. There is no beginning, there is no end. We're just constantly moving. And the records, the Akashic Records are like keeping a track of it, like who were you in your past lives? What did you go through? What's brought through into your life today that's maybe like a limitation? When you have like irrational fears and you're like, I don't understand. Like, why am I afraid of this? That can be from like a past life or it can be your childhood. So when you go in the records, you can extract information to find out why you are the way you are,
Mhm.
how to live your best life. Put it in like simple terms, but it really is if you boil it down, like
Yeah.
who am I and how do I reach my full potential? That's how I like to work with the records. It's like all of your loved ones who are not in physical form, loved ones who've passed over, pets who've passed over, your higher self, God, your spirit guides, spirit animals, your ancestors, like all of those beings who love you and like want the best for you, you tap into them and extract information to help you live a better life. Kind of. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's how I explain it.
I love it. Yeah. The way I kind of like to explain it too is like it's just a library that's taking record of everything that's ever happened, all the potentials that could happen. And it's like
Yeah.
writing down every little thing so that there it's like basically just recorded somewhere. It's like scribed,
Yeah.
all the lives, all the
Exactly.
potentials. Yeah, just everything lives in the library of the records.
Yeah, and anyone can access it if they want to. And like a good way to think of it, like you said, is like imagine like visualizing you going into a library and extracting like a book. And yeah, just everything is kept in there. And that to me is so like reassuring because I remember
Mhm.
like growing up being like, well, what happens next? Where did I come from? Like, who knows this about that and this? And it all felt like unsafe, like no one knew. And then when I was introduced to the records, I was like, oh, it's that place that like my teacher at the time, he was like, oh, it's just this place where everything that's ever happened is stored. And I was like, yeah, I want
Yep.
access. I want access to that place.
It's so funny because I think that sometimes too, we think that our life is already planned out ahead of time and we are just like victims to the unfolding of it. But something that I learned that's really cool about the Akashic Records and just about like source consciousness is that we're writing it in the present moment. Like God doesn't know what's going to happen just as much as we don't know what's going to happen because we play a part in that hand of fate. And so it's like
Yeah.
sometimes we might think that like, oh, like the records know what's going to happen in the future, if I'm going to get back with this person or not, or if this is going to happen or not. But like the records are just in every single present moment, keeping tabs on what's unfolding and they don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. Not even source consciousness knows what's going to happen because
Yeah.
it's literally unfolding in real time.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I couldn't agree with you more. And I had that vision in my records a while ago where they showed me every single step we take in the present moment, every second that we're breathing, there's like an unlimited amount of paths we can go down and
Mm-hmm.
we get to choose. And we had this conversation before where we were saying how God is learning through our lives. Like
Yeah.
imagine God is just split into 9 billion, however many people there are now on the planet. Like God has just split into 9 billion people, and each one of those people is having an experience, and God is learning as we're having that experience. But
Mm-hmm.
when you have a spiritual awakening, you become more aware of it. So you get to decide and co-create with God. And that's why when I do Akashic Records readings, I say the past, the present, and the future potential, because the future doesn't exist necessarily.
It doesn't, only right now exists.
Yeah,
This is
so
the
we can
only thing
see
that's
a
real.
I know, and it's so cool. And that's why I like to jump into the future, but then bring it back to the present because I'm like, right, let's look at what's the potential. What do you need to do now to get there? And that's not to say that you're going to get there because as you're doing that, something better might come along. You just don't know. That's the fun of it. That's why we're here, where we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I actually remember one time when I was in my mushroom trip, one time when I was in, when I had my mushroom trip, I was talking to source consciousness, all that is, which
Yep.
sounds so
Yeah, as you
weird, but
do.
if you've taken mushrooms, you get it. You're just
You get
blasted
it.
into
I
that
get
source
it.
consciousness. And I was like having a full conversation with source. And I was like trying to hack my life. I was like, so what's going to happen next? I was like, tell me what's going to happen next. And they were like, it doesn't work that way. And I was like, why? And they were like, because we don't even know what's going to happen next because it's unfolding real time. And when you are in a human body, that's what you sign up for. You sign up for not knowing, but mastering the present moment. And I was like, well, I want to know if it all works out. And they were like, it all works out. It always
Oh, I
all
love
works
that.
out. And I was
Yes.
like, oh my God. Like it was just this beautiful moment of being like, tell me what happens. Or like, we don't know what happens. You get to decide what happens. And I
Yeah.
asked, like, how do I decide? And they were like, the story you're telling yourself. You get to
Yeah.
decide what happens based on the story you tell yourself. You create your reality. All you have to do is tell the story that you want to experience, and that happens. And I was like, what? And they
Yeah.
were like,
Chills.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
so intense. But
Yeah.
I don't even know how we got on this topic, but I want to actually bring it back.
Let's.
I know when we before we started recording, we
We're
had this whole
woo, all
plan, and
over
now
the
we're like,
place.
just in the portal.
Yeah.
But I want to actually talk about how we met because I think it's a really
Yes.
magical story, especially when you're tapped into the quantum field like us Daddy Joe girlies. So if you
Yeah.
guys don't know already, Rebecca is a Daddy Joe girly. She's Daddy Joe
Woo.
gang, which I
I am.
freaking love. Guys, I
Die
don't
hard.
at this point, I don't even know how I am attracting so many of like literally just like not carbon copies of me, but people who literally like all the same things as me. But
Yes.
that's just what happens when you're
Yeah.
vibing in the quantum field is like you attract the perfect friends, you attract the
Yeah.
most dope people. And
Yeah.
I just think that our like meeting story is so cute and it's
It
like
is.
cute for friends.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell it from your point of view? Because I think
Yes.
it's,
I'll
yeah,
tell it.
yeah.
Okay. So
I just wanted to interrupt this episode quickly to remind you that Scared to Seen, my 8-week visibility accelerator, is open for enrollment. This is going to start the first week in February. And if you're not familiar with Scared to Seen, it is the only program on the market that teaches you how to heal the fear of being seen and fear of judgment, build unshakable confidence, and master social media strategy so that you can make sales. This is literally my dream program because when I was building my business, the biggest thing, the hurdle that I had to overcome was overcoming the fear of being seen. And no one was teaching me how to. I didn't understand why I was getting so triggered by my social media or how to heal it. And so we really dive into the deep inner work that is required. We use mostly inner child and shadow work here. And then week over week, I'm going to bring you from not posting at all to posting consistently, finding your brand voice, knowing what to post to make sales on social media. And I'm going to give you my behind the scenes strategy that has grown me a 6-figure business with 0 paid ads, grown me to 100K followers on Instagram, 120K on TikTok. Like the things that I'm going to teach you and how to make content authentically is going to really create ripples in your life and business. So if you're interested in enrolling, you can enroll in the link below called Scared to Seen. And I hope to see you inside.
I was very sick in October this year. Very, very sick. I was in hospital and I was very unwell. I had been to a Dr. Joe, Daddy Joe retreat in August
Call him Dr. Joe.
2022. So I got 7 days, full days of Daddy Joe in August 2022, and it changed my life. It was one of the best things I've ever done. It just catapulted my frequency. Before I went, I had been very sick. Then when I went, I got better. I came out of the retreat. My business just skyrocketed because I was just so magnetic. I was so in love with life. I was creating and attracting in these amazing clients, charging more than ever, and it was amazing. Then 2023 happened. I went into a dark night of the soul, which is where I felt completely disconnected from source energy, my higher self. I went into a depression. I had like what you could call a rock bottom. So I hit a rock bottom physically, mentally, emotionally, and then that all accumulated and manifested into a serious illness in October. When I was in the hospital in October, literally God said to me, like, this is a death and a rebirth. This was during the October 2023 eclipse season, and it was just before the Scorpio new moon. It was like death, rebirth. And I just had this jolt of like, right, okay. My life flashed before my eyes. I saw everything I was doing quote unquote wrong. And I just vowed to change it. So I did. And from that day forward, I changed everything. I got back into my Joe Dispenza meditations every single day, getting up at 5 a.m., meditating. I then reintroduced breath work and I would change my diet. Like alcohol was out completely, which I've had an on and off relationship with alcohol. I actually quit alcohol about 6 years ago, which is how I had my spiritual awakening. I started drinking when I was 13 heavily until I was in my late 20s because I was so sensitive and such an empath that a lot of empaths will go towards like some kind of addiction and numbing, and mine was alcohol. Come back to this year, then I get back into Daddy Joe and I'm vibing and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I love my life again. I'm back into who I want to be. So then you come into my field of potential and I listened to Anna Grace and your podcast. I watched it on YouTube, right? So I'm sitting in the living room, I'm watching you guys on there and you're talking about Dr. Joe and I'm like, oh my God, how funny. Like I've just got back into his meditations. She's saying that she's doing this challenge. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do the challenge. I'm going to do 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. I'm going to do forever, you know? So I was like, I committed to it. And now I'm on like, I don't know, 10 weeks or something in a row. So then I watched that episode. And then I follow you on social media. And then I have a dream. And you were in my dream, and we were doing some kind of spiritual work together. I honestly can't remember. It's such a blur, but I see us walking along together and we were doing some kind of like healing work in this dream. And I'm like, wow, that's so weird because Anna Grace said that you were in her dream too. And I was like,
My
that's so
quantum
weird.
self is so busy.
Your quantum self is like doing the rounds. He's like, come on, girls, let's go do the work. You know, like
Literally.
the meme where it's like, get in, loser. We're gonna like
We're evolving.
heal. Yeah.
We're going to the quantum field.
We're going into the quantum field. And I thought, well, I'm not going to say anything. She doesn't know me. It's weird. So I just kept it to myself at first. And then you liked some of my posts on Instagram, and I was like, oh my God. So I was like, right, okay, I've got to message her. So I messaged you and I was like, thank you so much. I've been following you and I love what you're doing. Then, literally the same day, I get an email from you, probably within a couple of hours or something. I'm pretty sure it was the same day. And in the email, you say that you're coming to Europe. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's coming to Europe. And then I'm like, oh, London. I was like, oh my God, this is okay. Okay. So I was like, do I tell her about the dream or not? I was like, oh. So anyway, I messaged you and I'm like, I see you're coming to London. Let me know if you want some recommendations. I send you some recommendations of like places that I like. And then we swap numbers and then we meet in London. And then we go to like my favorite cafe, remember?
Oh my gosh, I freaking love that place.
Which you love to get juice.
Yeah, guys, I've been on this weird juice diet, but yeah, I was like, girl, I'm not really having an appetite lately, so can we go get some juice? And so we sat at this little juice cafe. It was so good.
So good. It's called White Pine in Fitzrovia, if anyone is listening from London. That's a high vibe cafe, right?
It was so fun. It was literally like the best juice, and we got like some treats, like some like I don't know, little bites. It was so good.
Yeah. Long story short, I watched you on my television. Then you liked some of my stuff, and then but you'd been in my dream. So then I messaged you, and then you're coming to London, and like it was like
Then
a
we met
ping
up
pong
and we
ball.
hung out like 2 days in London.
Yeah.
So
2 days.
and it's funny from my end, like whenever I go on a trip, I always like set an intention for myself. I was like, connect me with anyone that I need to be connected with. You know, like if there's any beautiful connections that I can create during this trip, like please just put them in my field. And then you came in and I'm all about like meeting up with people. You know, I've done it so many times from the internet. And also like you had gone to a Daddy Joe retreat. You were meditating every morning. Like I was just like, this is like who I would hang out with in real life, you know? So
Yeah.
it was just a beautiful connection. And we were in a portal for like a day and a half, just like
Kind of
walking
like a
around
Harry Potter
London,
portal,
literally a
right?
Harry Potter portal where like everything was
In
just like
Victoria in London.
magical. Yeah, we took a little bit of a microdose one day and we were
Yes.
just vibing and it was
Vibing.
so fun. And I think that that's like the power of like when you're literally just like living in your purpose and you're being your authentic self and you're just sharing what's working with you. Like the universe is going to connect you with those people that are on your same vibration. And it was just like
Yeah.
a beautiful, yeah, it was a beautiful moment. And now we're friends.
I know. And the funny thing as well is like you were like, oh, I didn't realize you were like that deep into Daddy Joe. Remember? You were like, I didn't know that you were
Well,
like
girl, it's
that.
not normal. It's
I
not
know.
normal for people to like it's kind of rare. I mean, that's why I'm so excited for the retreat is because I think it takes a special type of human to be doing like minimum 30-minute to, you know, an hour and 45-minute
Yeah.
meditations every single day. And like
Yeah.
having gone to a retreat, you know, it costs a lot of money to go to those. Like just that the level of commitment that I know it takes to be committed to something like that.
Yeah.
And believe me, I'm the first. I'm freaking obsessed with it because it's changed my entire life. It's changed my income. It's changed my depression. Like I'm obsessed with
Yeah.
Dr. Joe. But like I also know that not everyone is that committed to this path. Like it's
Yeah.
not normal. So
Yeah.
when you told me like you had already gone to a Dr. Joe retreat and you were doing it every day too, I was like, okay, done. Like I need to meet this girl.
And like even just like think about it now. Like I watched you on YouTube in England, you're in America. Then we come together like it just blows my mind. It literally
Hmm.
blows my mind because at that time I had no idea that you were coming to London. Maybe you probably didn't even know when
I
you were
didn't even know.
recording that podcast, right? You wouldn't
No,
have known you're coming to London. So then it's like the universe brought us together like ahead of time.
literally.
It's so like it blows my mind how
I
it
know.
works.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy. But yeah, so that's our beautiful meeting story. It's
Yeah.
just, I don't know, for anyone who needs a little motivation to start doing their Joe Dispenza meditations, or maybe you're not calling in your soul family. Number one, put yourself in places that they are, meet up with people from the
Yeah.
internet, like go to
Yeah.
retreats. Like I always preach this on my page because literally every week I get the question, how do I meet like-minded people? How do I meet my soul fam? And I'm like, you gotta put in some effort. Like you have
Yeah. Oh,
to
yeah.
be willing to get uncomfortable. You know, it wasn't
Yep.
completely comfortable probably for either of us to meet up with a stranger from the internet.
I
Like you
know,
just
right?
never know. You just never
Yeah.
know. That's our little tidbit. But let's go into a
Yeah.
little bit more of like psychic development, intuitive development, because I know that that's what you do full time for work. And you
Yep.
help a lot of these beautiful light workers open up their channel, develop their gifts. So if somebody thinks that they have some gifts, whether it's claircognizance, clairaudience, clairvoyance, I know you're clairvoyant, what is like one of the first things that they can do to start to strengthen their gift or their channel?
I'm in a place now where I just communicate with like God, my higher self, every single day. I'm going to say this and hopefully this will make sense. I'm literally channeling it as I say it because I'm like, right, I'm going to say this, but I actually don't know what I'm going to say. But what I'm going to say is get familiar with just believing that you have this like soul or spirit council that is with you. Or you could
Council of
think of
Light.
them as your
Yeah.
higher self, right?
Yeah.
So there's this version of you, and this is how it's been described to me, which I quite like. Someone said once, and I don't remember who it was, but they said, think of your future self or your higher self as you in the sixth dimension,
Mm-hmm.
and they're putting their hand back and helping you. You get these ideas, you get these feelings, you get this like a business idea, or you want to go travel to a certain place, or you want to reach out to a certain person. Take those, like, I don't know why, but we seem to dismiss them as like, oh, that's just a silly thought. Oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
me. Oh, that's wishful thinking. But it's not. Like, that's literally, those are your breadcrumbs. Those are the
Mm-hmm.
clues from the universe, from God, from your higher self, telling you what to do, right? And it's like we've just got into this place where we just dismiss these thoughts. And I don't know why. I mean, I was the same. Now, whenever I have like a quote unquote random thought to do something like messaging you, like I was like, oh my God, don't message her. She's not going to reply to you. She's not going to want to hear what you have to say. Like that, I still have that part inside of me that speaks sometimes, you know? And I was like, ew, shut up. Who are you? So I just like push that part of me out of the way and I step outside my comfort zone. When it comes to communicating with your higher self or your ancestors, your loved ones who've passed over, or your spirit guides, whoever you want to communicate with, angels, I just talk to them out loud. Like when I'm on my own, when I go out walking, I'm like, what do I do next? What should I do with this? Or I'm like, this is really triggering me right now. Why is that? Like, I just ask these questions and I ask them out loud, and I'll go out walking. I won't have my headphones in and I will not distract myself with like a podcast or music or something. I'll literally just be with nature. It's very grounding at the same time. Another way to do it is journaling or voice recording, like recording your voice on your phone. And like, that's just like channeling. At first, you'll feel silly. You're like, hi, I'm having a really nice day. And then you just like, and then you kind of get past your ego and you start just speaking. Just remove any limitations. Like now I've got to the point where I'm like, my spirit guide, my spirit council, sometimes I like to call them, my higher self is always with me. Like
Mm-hmm.
just always with me. I'm not
Yeah.
alone. I'm never alone. Now, I don't know, it just makes me feel better. Whenever I feel disconnected and alone, I'll journal, I'll write out how am I feeling, what's going on, and I'll ask my higher self, why am I feeling like this? What am I supposed to do? I'm just in constant communication. They're always involved.
What I'm hearing from you is you have to create the relationship.
Yeah,
Like
oh my gosh, yes.
you have to actually be willing to be in that relationship and like nurture it every single day. So
Yes.
I'm going to just recap it for everyone. Like some
Yeah.
of the stuff that they can do is like
Yes.
number one, talk out loud to your guide, source, your higher self. I actually have a very good tip with this I want to share with everyone.
Yes.
So when I was first learning how to channel, I can't remember where I learned this, but basically one of the teachers told me that you should assign an object in your home to call source or your spirit guides or your angels or whatever, just so you have a physical item that you can see. And then
Yeah.
every morning, let's say I used a crystal, I had a crystal on my bedside, and every morning I would wake up and I would say, good morning, source, just so I like felt like the presence was
Yeah.
there every day. It's like you're
Yeah.
just saying hi to that thing, you're creating that relationship with source, God, spirit guides, whatever you're trying to create a relationship with. The second thing that I heard you say is like, you gotta follow the intuition. Like you're not going to
Oh,
create the relationship. People are like, how do I just open my channel and create the relationship? You do it by just day over day, following the pings,
yep.
trusting what it feels like, what it sounds like, how it looks in your body or in your mind or in your soul. Like I think that people want it so instantly, but like opening your intuition and your channel is a practice, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
is an evolution. And then
Yep.
the third and final thing that you said, which I actually did too as well when I was starting to channel angels, I would put a voice memo on my phone for 5 minutes a day, and I would close my eyes, I would open the channel, and I would just talk. I would ask it
Yes.
questions, I would just talk. You basically just learn how it feels, how it sounds, because for me it's like a different frequency of information. It's I can tell it's not coming from my brain. It's like a
Yeah.
higher frequency of information, like things that I maybe wouldn't really say on my
Yep.
own. Just practicing channeling your guides or your
Yeah.
angels or whatever. And it's going to feel really weird at first. Like I was like, is this me? Is it not me? But then I would ask the angels for a sign typically. And it was so crazy. They would give me the wildest signs.
Yes.
Like every
Yes.
single time I would like, my eyes are closed and I would start to channel and then I would like stop it. Every single time I would stop a channeling audio, it would be like 444, 666, or like,
Yes.
or not 666, obviously, but it would be all these
Yeah.
angel numbers that were
Yeah.
like, so, and I'm like, what are the odds of that? Like, it's just, there's, oh, like, it's just so clear,
But when you get that, it makes you feel good, right? Because it's like they're like,
Yeah.
yes. It's like they're being like, yes, it's there. And they communicate back with you. And yeah, 100%. Like the only reason I can channel so well is because I practice. And I
Mm-hmm.
say that to all of my students. I'm like, it's an experience. You have to practice. And like when you were speaking, I got this download of like, we learn, we unlearn, and we relearn. So basically, when you're channeling, it's not like anything we've been taught in school, right? That's why it's weird for a lot of people because they're like used to using their brain or their logic or their mindset. So when you channel, you receive information, but you also have to initiate at the same time. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like a dance, isn't it? And I've seen you say this a lot in business, but it's the same with channeling. You have to get past the point of feeling silly or like you're making it up. You have
Mm-hmm.
to keep going because
Yeah.
at first you're going to feel like you're making it up because it's just
Yeah.
you in physical form, right? You can't necessarily see anything unless people are very visual. And another thing you could try is when you close your eyes and you meditate or you are connecting and speaking with your higher self, whoever, ask to see light with your eyes closed. I love like
I haven't
seeing
tried
like a
that yet.
white, yeah, okay. So when I do my Daddy Joe meditations, as soon as I close my eyes and I hear the music, because your body starts to recognize it and remember it and it knows what's coming. So when I do the meditations, I close my eyes and a lot of the times I'll wear like, like the eye mask. I wear the eye mask anyway, just to keep my eyes closed. I have to check if my eyes are closed all the time because I'm always seeing things. So I'm
Yeah.
like seeing these lights and like it's blue and then it's purple and then it's like the most blinding, but it's not blinding white light. And I'm like, wow. So something that I teach my students when we do Akashic Records training as well is I'll always say to them, ask the records, show me this. Like, I want to feel this. I want to see this. So when we do past lives, I always say to them, you want to ask to see it. You want to be there. You want to be in that person's past life. You want to see
Mm.
who they were, what country are you in, what time period is it in, what are they wearing, what are they doing, what's the connection. And if you don't ask, you don't get. It's just
Yeah.
it's like commonly said saying, right? Like if you don't ask, you don't get. So I'm the same with them. I'm like, show me this.
Yeah. Sometimes you
They
have
might
to
not show you
be.
the first time, but keep trying.
Yeah, you have to develop that skill. And I also want to talk about this. It's not necessarily related, but I think that one of the most powerful things in manifestation, I think we maybe briefly talked about this. I don't know if we did, but it was like, it's the energy of like decisiveness of the universe. It's like that energy of like, I want to see this and being confident that you can see it. It's like this
Yeah.
very, I don't know if decisive energy is the right word. It's not like you're talking at source. It's like you're just knowing who you are. It's like you know your power and I don't like the word like demanding it, but it's like this just really decisive energy
Yeah.
of like
I get what you're saying.
it's like a sovereign energy. Like
Yeah.
please show me.
Yeah, I get completely what you're saying because a lot of people who have never channeled before, they'll be like, oh, what if I can't do it? And I'm like, every single person, trust me, every single person thinks that. I thought that every single person thinks, what if I can't do it? But you have to, like you said, make a decision and be like, well, I want to. So
Mm-hmm.
source, show me this. show me that. What is this? What is that? And you do, you build a relationship with them, and you do have to have a decisiveness. Some people say to be demanding, and I mean, I'd say I'm pretty demanding, but not in like a bad way. You know,
Yeah,
like I'm like, I want this, I want to know that, I want to know this, I want to know that. And they're more than happy to tell me, because when it comes to like the Akashic Records, they won't show you anything that you're like not allowed to know, something
right.
that's going to like negatively impact you. Like,
Mm,
you know, one of my old business partner, she had an Akashic Records reading before COVID happened. She had to go to Bali, and they were like, you need to go to Bali, and you need to go to Bali now. And she was like, why? And they were like, we can't tell you why. And then she found out afterwards that COVID happened. And she was like, well, of course they couldn't tell me. Well, this virus is going to spread around the planet, and all travel is going to, because like, what would she do with that? She probably wouldn't have gone to Bali because she'd have freaked out.
for
So like,
sure.
they only give you what you need to know.
Mm.
So, but you've got to ask for it. You have to ask for it.
Yes. You have to ask. And it's like just it's kind of the same in life. Like you got to ask for
Yeah,
what you want or you're not going to get
exactly.
it.
If
Closed
I
mouths
didn't
don't get
message
fed.
you, we wouldn't have
Yeah.
met up. We wouldn't have
Yeah.
met up. I'd have seen you on social media. I'd be like, oh, that's a shame. She's in London. I could have maybe hung out with her if I messaged her. But if I didn't, then you and I would never have met. So,
And I think that that goes back to like, guys, I always preach about confidence. It's like confidence will get you further than any degree, than any
oh my God,
accolade
yes.
would. Like, you know, you could have been in your head and said, oh, well, like, you could have made so many things. I'm not cool
Yep.
enough. I'm not big enough. My whatever. She doesn't think I'm like, she would never want to. But it's like, if you don't ask, the answer is always
Yeah.
no. But
And
if you
even if you
ask,
said no, then like it is like, think of it this way. If I wanted to gain and grow my confidence, it wasn't about the outcome of you saying yes or no. It was me asking and just
mhm.
actually taking the action of doing it. Because even if you'd have said to me no, that doesn't matter, because I still put myself out there and I still asked.
And then
So it's
what
like the
happens after
energy.
that? Yeah, nothing bad happened. Like if I rejected you, okay, like I rejected you and nothing bad happened to you, you know? Like
Yeah.
yeah, you sit with those feelings of discomfort for a hot second, then you move on with your life. You don't really
Yeah.
remember. And I think rejection is just such a beautiful teacher. What my guides were teaching me is like rejection is one of the most powerful tools because it teaches humans how to source their validation and love within themselves, regardless of what other people are thinking and doing. Because if you actually know who you are as source consciousness, as a sovereign being, you know that no other person can actually give or take away love from you because you are the source of your own love. And
Yeah.
it
Wow. Yeah.
just, rejection is just such a beautiful teacher. And if you can really learn how to embrace it, it can get you really far. That's what I'm going to say
Yeah.
about it.
No, I completely agree. And I was at this conference training this weekend, and they were talking about Elon Musk, and they were saying how he is like, you got to fail, you got to fail, you got to fail, you got to fail, 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 fail again, fail again, fail again. And like, it's so important to fail, and it's so important to take
Yes.
action. And they were talking about how it's thoughts, feelings, actions, and you can change your thoughts and your feelings with an action. You know, you go for a run, you do a cold blast in the shower, you reach out to someone and have a conversation about something. Otherwise, we just stay stuck in our thoughts and our feelings. So action is actually like really important.
Yeah, and I'm an action girly. I think that, you know, it starts as a thought and then you have to meet the universe halfway. Like nothing's,
Oh,
and Dr. Joe talks about all the time, like, yes, we're manifesting from the quantum field and we're pulling shit to us, but it's not going to happen just sitting on your couch. Like you better be creating in your mind and then going out in real life and doing the thing so that the
yeah.
universe can meet you halfway.
Yeah, because it's like the meditation is half of it, but then the other half is like when you're awake and you're taking action. Because if you do the meditations, you get up from the meditation, you do nothing about it, then nothing's going to change.
Exactly. And I think another big piece of it is what I've been practicing in my meditations. You know, he always talks like if things aren't changing, it's because you haven't been holding the state when your eyes are open. And that's really
Yeah.
when shit changes. It's like, can you feel worthy not in your hour-long meditation? Can you feel worthy when your eyes are completely open?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I've been doing is like I mean, I love the walking meditation, but I don't do it a lot. And I'll like be doing the meditation, I'll open my eyes, and then I'll just pull up the feeling with my eyes open. And I'll try to
Yes.
walk with my eyes open saying, okay, how would I walk if I had these clients? Or how would I walk
Yeah.
if I was in love? Or how would I walk if,
Yes.
you know, like I had the friends I wanted, whatever it is at the time that I'm manifesting, it's like you would walk differently. You would think
Yeah.
differently. You would be in
Got
a
chills.
different mood. And so, like, even just walking to the gym sometimes, I'm like, I'm just going to embody myself that
Yeah.
has all those things. And I don't need it to come because I'm already feeling like I have it in
Yeah.
that moment.
Yes. And it's such a vibe, right? I told told you a few weeks ago, I was at the cinema. When I came out of the cinema, I was in the supermarket and they were playing this really loud music. And I like walked in the supermarket and I was like, I feel like I'm in a movie. And I was going around, I bought myself some flowers. I got myself like these blueberries, this like magazine, and I was just like vibing. And like, it's so fun to do that.
So fun. It's so fun.
And no
Yeah.
one knows.
I just taught a little like free class on identity shifting. That is what identity shifting is. It's like your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs are all differently. Your actions are different, right? And so it's like if I was a version of myself that had what I want to manifest, that had the car, the money, the friends, the boyfriend, I would be acting differently. So if I want to create that, I have to pull that identity, like I have to embody that identity now. I can't
Yeah.
wait for that thing to be that person. I have to be that person. And then that thing
Yeah.
comes to
Yes.
you. I am quickly interrupting this episode to remind you guys that if you're a listener, which clearly you are, I have created a free meditation for all of you. This meditation was built out of my rock bottom when I needed to trust the universe and release a lot of anxiety I was feeling, and I didn't know how. So I learned how to trust the universe, and I'm going to teach you how in this meditation. It's really practicing this feeling of being held and supported and remembering that you actually are held and supported by the universe in every single moment. All you have to do to get this meditation is to rate and review the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on, and then go ahead and head over to my podcast Instagram at Alignment Academy Podcast. Give it a follow and then message me on there with a screenshot of your rating or review, whatever platform you're listening on, and I will send you the meditation. Okay, now back to the episode.
Can I share something with you?
Yeah.
So at the conference this weekend, which was like a Joe Dispenza conference, we were talking about thoughts, feelings, and actions, right? What we're talking about right now. And like, if you think about abundance and you think about it in like maybe like a lack way. So the thoughts are, I'm not abundant. I'll never be abundant. Abundance doesn't happen to me. And then what are the feelings? I feel sad. I feel defeated.
Not enough.
I feel not enough. I feel like lethargic. And then what's the actions? Inaction, procrastination, holding yourself back, hiding away, staying in bed all day, whatever it is, right? So that's one version. Then if you go to like the infinite abundance version, like what is abundance? Thoughts. I am abundant. It's my birthright to be abundant.
I have
love
more than
being
enough.
abundant. I have
more money's
than
always
enough.
coming to me.
Yes, I am a money magnet. And then what's the feelings? You feel joy, you feel energized, you feel inspired, you feel motivated, you feel amazing, right? What's the actions? You try new things, you put yourself out there, you learn, you create, you explore. Like what, like I've got chills all over my body just saying it. It's like, what? That's a different life. Like the person whose actions are procrastination, inaction, and then the other person's not even an outcome. It's just they want to learn. They want to create, they want to explore. What does that lead to? You know, that's going to lead to more things, fulfillment, success, abundance, like all of those things. So yeah, like that was a really nice way to think of how much your thoughts and your feelings impact you. And you can think of that in love, in money, business, confidence. You know, like if you're constantly telling yourself, I'm not confident, and you're holding yourself back, or if you're thinking, I'm so confident, it doesn't matter if I get rejected or not, like what we were talking about, you're going to go for more opportunities. Because Daddy Joe talks about this too. He's like, it's about the opportunity. More opportunities come to you.
He actually
right?
talks about, this is my favorite one of his teachings that's like kind of low key that he talks about, but like everything that you want is in the form of opportunity. So you need to tune into the energy of opportunity. Like, for example, if you're manifesting money, it's an opportunity and the feelings of worthiness. Like if you want to manifest love, it's tuning into opportunity and like meeting a person. Like it's like everything comes in the form of like opportunity. And I've been really diligent on like tapping into, when I'm tapping into potentials in his meditations, I'm like, I'm going to tap into the feeling of like a new opportunity, like opening your email and being like, oh, like this opportunity is so exciting, because all you need is an opportunity and a person, an opportunity and, you know, a job. Like it's everything is an opportunity.
Yeah. And then imagine like when you were saying that, I was thinking like a lot of people limit themselves on finding love and they think it's got to happen on an app or it's got to happen at work, or like they'll limit themselves. But like think of how you and I met each other. Like you could meet a love interest in that way. You would never ever, watching you on YouTube that first time, time thought, oh, I'm going to be hanging out with her in London in a month or two's time. So why couldn't that
No,
happen with love? It's an opportunity. Like, stop
literally.
limiting yourself, you know? Like, yeah.
It's so true. And I actually want to tell a story because it's crazy how quick and synchronistic it will happen. So, Dr. Joe always talks about like when you are in the quantum field, things are going to come to you in a way that you least expect it because there's infinite potentials. And if you can think of that potential, it's probably not the one that's going to come because the universe knows the best way and like the most
Yeah.
like beautiful way for it to unfold. And you can't even think of it that way. And in San Diego, I've been wanting to connect with like more really high vibrational people, like the people that are on me and you's level, just because like I've just been wanting to call that in more in San Diego specifically. So
And
two
it's fun
days
to be
ago,
with them in person, right?
yes, it's fun to be with people in person. So 2 days ago, I wrote it on my manifestation list. I told Source, I was like, please connect me with people. Then yesterday, in the morning, one of my TikTok friends who I haven't like actually met up with in person was like, hey, I'm like home, which like for him is San Diego. Do you want to grab lunch? He doesn't really live here. So I'm like, sure, let's grab lunch. We decide on what time to meet up. And then I'm like, hey, I have some calls, like I'll come at this time. And he's like, great, I'm with my friend until then. And then he was like, hey, I'm still with my friend, but she wants to meet you. Like, do you want to all hang out? And I was like, yeah, I would love to meet her. So yesterday, random 3 p.m. on a Monday, I drive to the beach and we all literally sit outside watching the water for like 3 hours and just are in the deepest conversations around spirituality and mushrooms and Joe Dispenza and like all these crazy things. And I'm like, I would have never been able to like know that this is how I'm going to meet a new friend. You know what I mean? But it's like
Exactly.
the infinite potential knew that that was my new friend. And like now I freaking love her. And I'm like, I want to hang out with you more, girl. So, I mean, who knows? But
Yes.
it's just crazy how things can unfold when you're just in flow and you trust that it's going to come to you in the perfect way.
Yeah. And I feel like you're in the flow when it happens that way because
Yes.
when everything is predictable, then you're living in the program. You're living in
Yes.
in the past. That's what Dr. Joe says all the time. You're living in the past. So like when it
Wow, I love
and
that. If it's
yeah, and
predictable, you're living in the
it's
past.
if it's predictable, you're living in the past. So like I'm gonna do exactly what you said. And when I'm in my meditations, I'm gonna feel into the feeling of an opportunity because then the universe can bring you something so much better than you could ever imagine.
Yeah, because you don't know what
Yeah.
you like. You can't really predict an opportunity. Like, you don't know what that opportunity is going to be, but it's going to be epic because
Yeah.
source is all that is. Like, it knows all the things that you actually want and the best ones that you can't even like think of, you know?
Yeah. And that's co-creating.
It's like when you meet a friend or you meet a lover and you're like, I did like, even if I got what I wrote on my list, it wouldn't be this good. It's like that
Yeah.
energy. It's like
Yeah.
what you get in real life is so much better than what you can imagine in your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And then you feel like you're living in a fairy tale, right? Because you're just like, how is this
Yes.
real? It's so much fun.
It's so much fun. I love it. This has been such a beautiful, fun conversation. I feel like a
Yay.
good way to like end is, do you want to maybe open the Akashic Records for the collective
Yes.
of this podcast? Whoever's going to listen, tune into the energy and maybe like give a collective reading or whatever they
Yeah,
want to
I would
hear.
love that. So I open my records. I open my records like every single day. I just use a pathway prayer to open my records. It's really quick, it's really simple. Different people do it in different ways. But as soon as I open my records, what I do is when I'm saying the prayer, I'm so present that like the prayer is everything. As soon as I open the prayer, that's when I'm like, I know I've opened up my energy or I've opened up the energy of the person that I'm reading for. And then everything, every thought, every feeling, every memory, everything that comes through is about that person or myself, whoever I'm reading for. When
Rebecca,
I
sorry, go ahead.
go on, go on.
I was going to say, should we open the records for Alignment Academy podcast
Oh,
and maybe try
let's
to
do
connect with the
it.
energy of that?
I've never done that before. Let's do it.
Sorry, I know I have crazy
No, don't
ideas.
say sorry. I like it that I've never done it before.
I'm like, let's try this new thing on my
Yes,
podcast.
we're just talking about trying new things. So, absolutely. Okay. I ask God if they will have their shield of love and truth around you permanently. So, only God's love and truth will exist between you and me. I allow the loved ones, masters, and teachers of you to channel through me out of whatever realm to say whatever they wish. I am open to receive. I ask the permission of the Lords of the Akashic Records, so I am able to look into the records of you and remove whatever information I am allowed. So, like I said, I always pay attention to how I say the prayer. Is it fast? Is it slow? Do any words stick out to me? Do I get any like physical? Because I feel things too. So I can see things, I feel things, I hear things, I know things. I got like a little bit sweaty when I was saying the prayer, and because I get a lot of physical reactions. But for me, it's like it's the action part. Okay. So it was quite fast as well when I was saying the prayer. And as you can see, or I don't know if you can tell, but I'm talking like a little bit faster now as well than I was earlier because now I'm channeling even more. For your listeners, I get this the message of like movement, like move, sweat, dance, shake, like really shake away any limitations, any
Fear.
limiting beliefs that are holding you back. Don't let them hold you back because they're not real. Something that you and I were talking about just before we got on, and I'm not saying this quite exactly how it's said, but it goes along the lines of I am not who I think I am. I am not who you think I am.
I am who you think I am.
That's it.
Yeah.
For anyone who is holding themselves back and listening to this podcast, not taking, like listening to Kristen and Kristen's guest and being like, oh, I could never do that. Oh, it sounds so amazing. Oh, I feel really drawn to that. But like telling yourself that you can't do that, you can't have that. Like, what is the difference between you and those people? The stories that you tell, like, oh, they were born in a different way, or oh, they had help, or oh, they have
It
more
comes easy to
confidence.
them or
Yeah, it
whatever it
comes
is.
easy to them, or like they know what they're doing and I don't. Like that is all a story, and change it,
Change the
literally.
story.
And that's something Daddy Joe says too. Change. He's like, change, and find that thing that literally sets your soul on fire. And it might change. I know for me, I started with tarot, then it moved to the Akashic Records, and I found it difficult to let go of tarot, but I don't have to let go of tarot. It was another story I was telling myself. So if you are in a job that you don't like, there are ways out of it, okay? And that is taking action. So dance, shake, go out walking, exercise. I'm really getting this feeling of moving your body in that way too. And then I don't know, I'm getting it's so funny because I just have to say what I get. And then what they're saying is, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to put yourself out there. Like that's what the records of your podcast are saying. They're like, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And going back to what you say all the time is you have to be okay with putting yourself in a vulnerable position of making a fool, quote unquote, fool of yourself. You have to like, but return to like the inner child, have fun with it. Don't take it too seriously. 2024, like people are being called to step forward, and you're only going to feel more and more shit if you don't. Step forward, move your body, meet people out and about. Like I really get that too. Meet people out and about.
I
Maybe
love that.
you will set up some kind of meetup. I don't know. Are you thinking about that?
I've been thinking about it. Yeah. I have some
Yeah.
SoCal girlies and I was like,
Yeah.
we should have a little, meetup or something. But like,
Yeah. I
I've,
see some people come into that and that being them really stepping outside of their comfort zone, but that really propelling them forward.
and I have
So
my retreats. So maybe it's join my
yes.
retreat.
Oh, 100% retreats, 100%. Again, I just have to say what I get coming through. Like, don't think that you're a loser. Like, you're not a loser. Like, put
Yeah.
yourself out there. You are here. Like, and when I say this, I'm talking to like you who's listening, the listener. Kristen, you're listening, I'm listening. Like this, take what resonates with you. Our first manifestation was like manifesting into having a human experience. There's like trillions of souls apparently circulating the planet, wanting to come in, wanting to have an experience. So just know that you are meant to be here. You manifested your way into this experience, and you do have more power than you believe you do. So start listening to people like Kristen, just follow accounts that inspire you.
Mm.
Nothing else. Like we are sponges. Like be very careful about the information you're putting into yourself, and follow expansive people. And it can happen so much quicker than you think it will. So yeah, that's just something that came through.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And yeah, the thing that I got when you kept on saying dance, like dance, shake it out. And I was hearing dance with the universe. Like the universe is
Yes.
trying to dance with you. And if you're
Yes.
not taking any steps, if you're not getting out on the dance floor, the universe is like, well, I'm here and I'm waiting for you to dance with me, but you're not coming out on the dance floor. Like I can't
Yeah.
give you magic because you're not open to receive it, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
100%. Exactly.
so that's the
Yeah.
message I got. And thank
Yeah.
you for Alignment Academy. I feel like the Alignment Academy consciousness is very like, it's just this beautiful energy of like almost mothering you forward. And like, you know,
Mm,
when you're in grade school or like you're getting dropped off somewhere and you're scared to go and your mom's like, sweetie, you're gonna be fine. Like, I'll be
yeah.
here when you're done. Like, I'll
Yeah.
be waiting for you in the car when you're done with
Yeah.
practice or you're done with tryouts. And you
Yeah.
go forward and it's really scary. And then you run back to the car and your mom's like, how was it? And it's like, it was so good. Like I did so well. It's like, that's
Yeah.
going to be the energy when you go out and like do that scary thing.
Yeah, and think of it as like when you're a kid and your parents try and put you into all the different clubs, right? Like dance club, art club, like whatever, different clubs, so that you can meet different people and try different things. Like that's it. Like go out, join, in person, online, put yourself out there, try new things. If you don't like
Mm.
it, that's great. You know, one thing you don't like, you don't need to do it again. Try something else. Dance,
Yes.
dance, dance, dance.
I feel like that was an American accent.
I know. I was with someone yesterday and he goes, "Have you spent time in America?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, I can hear it in your voice." I was like, "Okay."
That's so funny. Oh, well, thank you so much, Rebecca. Where
Thank
can
you.
people find you? How can they work with you? What do you have going on right now? Give us all the deets.
So, best place is Instagram. It's a long one. It's Rebecca.Anne-Marie.Lyons.
Beautiful. I'll have it in the show notes wherever you're listening to this podcast.
Amazing. Cool. So Instagram, and at the moment I read. So if someone wants to have their Akashic records explored, or someone who wants to like move forward and just get like some practical like tips and tools on what to do now to get to where you want to be. Or if you're like, who was I in a past life? Favorite thing to do. And anyone who wants to learn how to do this is my jam. Like I teach people how to access it for themselves and how to do it for others. So
Mm,
just follow me, message me, and I'm always doing fun things. I do a lot of like moon ceremonies online as well. So there'll be something
beautiful.
that people can find. Yeah.
And she is Kristen approved reader. She has read for me before in person, and it's
In the
always
Harry
so.
Potter cafe.
Yes, in our Harry Potter cafe, it was always so spot on and beautiful. So,
Thank you.
definitely get a reading from her if you want your Akashic records opened or read, or you need clarity. Obviously, like she can't tell you what the future is going to be, but she can definitely help guide you and connect to your spirit guides to take the next
Yes.
steps forward. So,
Yeah. So you can co-create and you can do it yourself, you know? Yeah.
yes. Well, thank you again, Rebecca. And
Thank
thank you,
you.
everyone, for listening. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.